What's up, MetaNerdz? This video is all about the CR90 Corvette, also known as the Corellian Corvette, Rebel Blockade Runner, and the Alderaan Cruiser. It was manufactured by Corellian Engineering Corporation, the same people that gave us the Millennium Falcon and the Bierley-class heavy freighter. Brand new, this ship would cost you anywhere from 3.5 million credits to 2,700,000 credits, a cost equal to 58 TIE fighters, or about 5 times the cost of the Slave 1. At a length of 150 meters, or 492 feet, it was about 1/11th the length of the Imperial-class Star Destroyer, and around 5 Millennium Falcons long. At a width of 48.6 meters, or 159 feet, it was wider than a sandcrawler, and at a height of 32.6 meters, or 107 feet, it was as tall as an AT-ST riding on top of an AT-AT. With a top atmospheric speed of 950 kilometers per hour, or 590 miles per hour, it was faster than a TIE bomber, but slower than a Y-wing. This was all achieved via its 11 high-output ion turbine engines, in addition to its Class II hyperdrive, that was equal to that found in the Imperial-class Star Destroyers, but slower than the Venator. It came equipped with shielding that was 8 times as powerful as that found in the X-Wing, and while most ship hulls were made of Durasteel or titanium, the CR90 was made of ferromagnesium ceramic, which made it about 16 times stronger than the TIE fighter. As for its armament, this ship had 2 dual turbolaser turrets, one on the ventral and dorsal sides, with a pair of single turbolasers on the starboard and port side of this ship. The CR90 also contained 8 standard escape pods, along with 4 armed max-capacity escape craft, while having customizable options to allow for the docking of a single starfighter, or 3,000 tons of cargo, a weight equal to 750 banthas, while also externally docking 3 A-wings. Other variants allowed for this transport to carry up to 600 passengers, while normally requiring a crew counting anywhere from 30 to 165 people. But a very helpful design feature is that it could be piloted for some time by a single person, something demonstrated by Han Solo and Wedge Antilles. But let's take a look inside of this ship to see where everything was and how it all worked. Starting up at the cockpit, we can see there was a forward airlock docking hatch, which led right into the cockpit for quick evacuation in case of an emergency, instead of having to run the length of a football field in order to get to those side airlocks. The officer's briefing room was located here, followed by the captain's quarters and main computer room. This hallway would take you past the computer power substation, leading you into the officer's quarters. If we head down this main hallway, we pass by the access ladders to the turbolaser turrets, and we see that each of these guns is manned by 2 gunners. These hallways circled the tech stations and conference chamber, while being lined on each side with escape pods. We then arrive at the elevator, which brings us up to the dignitary suite, where Princess Leia was residing on the Tantive 4 during its fateful trip. This stateroom had a private chamber, along with a sitting room to talk with guests, in addition to what appear to be data screens and HoloNet terminals. While putting your dignitary at the top of the ship might seem like a bad idea, this was the most heavily defended part of the CR90, with extra plate armor, and these 4 single turbolaser turrets. Even better, these turrets doubled as those 4 armed escape pods I mentioned earlier, and although it isn't stated here, there are some escape pods that have hyperdrive capabilities, so I could see a plan where dignitaries and their guards would pack into these, fend off attackers until they jump through hyperspace, and then form up into a deadly little group of escape pods. After the elevator, we find the formal dining room, below what appears to be some sleeping quarters. This next corridor is where Leia gave the Death Star plans to R2-D2, and then we can find the portside airlock that was breached by the TIE boarding craft. Each airlock had magnetic safety shield generators to contain atmosphere in the event of a breach, and then if we look above this section, we can see the air tanks. This area was beneath the primary sensor array, and was followed by the main reactor. This blast damage is from the Star Destroyer that crippled the Tantive 4. As you can see, it was a very well placed shot that ended up overloading the shield generator and damaged parts of the power system, forcing the crew to shut down the reactor. How this system worked is that each of these engines was fed by a series of pressurized fuel cells that supplied radioactive gas into the turbines, where this gas was ionized by electricity supplied by each of these engines' power feeds, a process that accelerated the ions through the thrust nozzles. Steering was achieved by varying the amounts of thrust that were generated across each of its 11 engines. As for its history, The CR90 was one of Corellia Engineering Corporation's biggest hits, alongside the YT-1300, and was seen as an improvement upon the previous CR70. A modular interior allowed for extensive customization, with especially popular aftermarket packages, creating things like the Vanguard C-20. The cross-section we looked at was a dignitary ship, often used by a lot of senators, but there are others with modified interiors to make it more of a cargo transport, troop carrier, light escort vessel, or even civilian passenger liners. Two ships, the Nightcaller and the Constrictor, had one of the more rare variants, which worked in a small hangar bay to carry a few starfighters. Many owners also upgraded the armament, in some cases having as much as 8 turbolasers, 6 laser cannons, and 4 ion cannons. One of these modders actually helped to inspire the design for the successor of the CR90, the CR92A Assassin-class Corvette, which was specifically designed for combat, packing 6 dual turbolaser turrets. During the Clone Wars, Senator Bail Organa used the Tantive 4 to travel to Toydaria and negotiate relief efforts for Ryloth. Some CR90s were stationed on Belderone, and at least 2 were in the Botejef Defense Forces that were crushed by then Commodore Thrawn when Botejef tried to secede from the Empire. Leia would travel to Lothal on the Tantive 4, and several CR90s made up parts of the Rebel forces, including one used by Ahsoka, 3 that were used to rescue Kanan Jarrus, and the 5 that were under the command of Jun Sato. When the Pelta-class frigate that operated as the flagship Phoenix 1 was destroyed, the CR90 the Liberator became Santo's new flagship. The Tantive 4 was docked in the Profundity during the Battle of Scarif, being able to escape in time to jump to the Tatooine system. Once Vader and the Star Destroyer the Devastator caught up to her, this ship was tractor-beamed into the Imperial-class's hangar bay. The Imperials would disassemble and destroy the CR90, with Imperial-controlled media reporting that this ship had been ripped apart by an asteroid storm. Later, there would be CR90s present during the Battle of Endor and the Battle of Jakku. Legends history is similar, but has this ship being used by the Imperial Navy as well as the Rebels, and the crime lord Tiber Zan also used many CR90s, which made it so the Empire tended to stop these vehicles frequently, but like the YT-1300, their ubiquity made it very difficult to isolate the rebels, smugglers, and pirates from the civilian or company-owned ships. After the Empire fell, the New Republic continued to use these ships until they were finally phased out, with the last time we seeing one being used in the year 137 ABY during the evacuation of Dak, and then in the building of the Secret Retreat. So that's it for its history, but you definitely want to hear these cool facts and behind-the-scenes stuff. The ceramic plate armor of the CR90 seems to be inspired by ceramic composite armor used on many modern tanks here on Earth, including the M1 Abrams. This ship was originally intended to be the Millennium Falcon, but the art team decided that it was too similar to Space 1999's Eagle transport. This makes the name of Han Solo's ship even funnier, because it's like the team said that we shouldn't be taking from Space 1999, so they added a year, making it a Millennium, and just changed the bird from an Eagle to a Falcon. The concept art was changed to include the Hammerhead cockpit, and was put into the opening scene. In Revenge of the Sith, many have pointed out that the ship appears to be too short, something that had to be fixed with the creation of the CR70, and the retconning that this ship was the Sundered Heart, not the Tantive 4. And in order to create the sounds for this ship, they combined the World War II AT-6 propeller-driven racing airplane with the sounds created by a Boeing 747 jet plane. So that's it for the CR90 Corvette, but more important than all that, remember, never fly without escape pods, and the Force will be with you, always.